close to the translation? Is it a huge comedy show and full of pop culture references, and therefore it cannot stay close to the Japanese translation, or it won't be funny? You make those decisions early on. Are we going to cuss? Are we trying to get it on TV so we can't cuss? The kind of financial decisions that sometimes are vetoed by the Japanese, like we'll decide not to change the Japanese names. This happened with Case Closed. We'll decide not to change the Japanese names, and the Japanese will be like, no, you're changing the Japanese names. You're going to make them American names, you're going to make them American cities. Hang on. And so we've got those decisions to make. And then as we're writing it, you have a translation, and then if it's a really good translation, then you can stay close to it if the decision has been made to keep everything current in the Japanese script. You can stay close to it because the translators have kind of kept an eye on the flaps and seen that they need to go with a longer explanation. Sometimes they don't have time, or we're using new translators, and in that instance you just have to extrapolate on your own, and we're not allowed to use fan subs. So it's kind of a sticky situation, yeah. And sometimes the scripts really need to stay close. Like when you look at Full Metal Alchemist, it was so incredibly, beautifully, perfectly written that if we had changed anything, we would have altered meaning. And that's exactly what we don't want to do. Then you take Kodacha, which is also beautifully written, but in Japanese, it's full of Japanese references. And if we don't take those sayings and make them into Americanisms, absolutely nobody's going to get the humor, even the otakus. And then you take Tsubasa, which has a beautiful translation, but almost every scene that they have is repeated in another episode somewhere along the lines of that show. And so you have to add things into it, or an American audience would lose interest. It would never make it to TV. And because we buy those high-profile shows, if we don't make them get to TV, we lose money and face with the Japanese, and they won't sell us something later on down the road. So it's just so much to think about. I'm glad I don't have to do it alone.
Yeah, when I was listening, in terms of Case Closed, like I'm probably one of the few that actually are collecting the Case Closed DVDs as they come out.
Oh, you're the one.
Because it's got the long ones where it was like the guy at Adult Swim, and unfortunately Adult Swim only did decide not to go on with more episodes and all that. I think they only had like 49 of the 52 that were contracted. They did decide not to have 3 episodes, and I'm finally going to get to see those 3 with the next DVD. But the thing about, I was thinking like, well, all these English things is, I'm thinking, what was the Japanese thinking? They were thinking that CBS was going to pick it up in the air at 8 o'clock at night on a Sunday? I'm like, that's what I was thinking the Japanese were thinking. It was like they were going to, like NBC or CBS were going to air it on their prime time. Because
that's exactly what they were doing.
They think Korea is a prime time in their country, 7:30 Monday nights.
They were going for the same kind of time slot that they had in Japan.
Yeah.
And that's just not that show in America. In America, we let sex come on prime time and we don't let violence. It's completely opposite there.
I was just curious, what would be both your favorite and your least favorite shows that you have done, in both voice acting and writing?
And writing?
Yes,
Oh.
or directing.
Directing, okay. Favorite shows. Acting, my favorite show, my favorite character that I've ever done is Rose Anderson in Salty Ray. It was directed by Chris Sabat beautifully, perfectly, and if you haven't seen it, go get it now. And Rose is so close to my own range, to my own character, that I could just play. I was not restricted by voice at all. Nobody needed to remind me to get back into voice because it's me. So I could just, and she has this incredible range of comedy and drama. She does crying, tragedy, and fighting, and she just does everything. It was like being a Claire again, only later in my career when I know how to do it. So
yeah, when he was mentioning Eclair, I just, I came here, and I've been trying to find the episodes of Kitty Grade online, just to watch on, YouTube or get on BitTorrent.
Don't do that.
Right. Oops. Hi, Ben. But they're not there. So
good.
I found the box set here, and I just I freaked out because I saw that series and I instantly fell in love luck with your work as Eclair.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I'll take that moment as a gentle reminder, and not directed just towards you, but because it was a reminder. We won't be able to do this for very long if you guys do that. It's totally cool. It's totally cool, though, I swear. She's like, oh no, I'm sorry. And the directing, Moonface. Moonface was my favorite show to direct by far. Full Metal is my favorite anime, don't get me wrong, but I was so stressed out about it because I had to be like Full Metal. And Moonface was just so much fun. And I had already worked with a bunch of people, so I knew who I wanted to cast because I worked really, really well with them. And Monica and Jason play off each other so perfectly. It's a vampire show for those of you who haven't seen it. And it's funny and fun. Loved it.
Have you had a chance to enjoy Boston yet?
To do what?
Enjoy Boston?
This is my favorite city in the U.S.
Did you get to go out?
Followed closely by Vegas, which is odd.
Did you get to go out and do anything? Or?
I've been walking around and looked at the buildings, which is really what I wanted to do. The things I didn't get to do that I wanted to were go to the public library. Did I just say library? Oh my God. Okay, I just woke up. And also, I would like to go to the aquarium. They're doing a duck tour later tonight, but I'm flying out too early.
Oh. You're missing out.
You have the oldest restaurant in the U.S. here. The oldest restaurant. Nobody seemed amazed by that. I was amazed by that. I want to go. I want to go and I want them to serve me like sushi or something. That'd be funny.
Huge Kitty Grade fan, and I have to hear Kodacha.
Oh gosh. Can you hear in my throat how you're not really going to hear a real Kodacha? Okay. Oh, I don't even know if I can eat that. Ta-da! I'm glad I didn't crack. That would have been embarrassing. Oh, that'll be sweet. You know they came out with a second.
I heard. How's it supposed to be?
I know nothing about it except that Claire and Lumiere are not the lead characters, which made me cry a little, and that we don't have any idea if we're going to get it. I don't know about the movies.
It's just a recap of the series.
Oh, it's an OVA? Oh, an OVA? Do what?
Hi, my family and I are really enjoying all the episodes of Kodacha, which we are buying on DVD. We're on disc 9 now. And in fact, I came dressed as
Mama?
Yes, yesterday. I'd like to hear you talk a little bit about the character of Mama.
Yes, actually, yeah, that's a good one. Mama, okay, so I started out directing that show. I directed like the first 10 or something small number like that. And I had the insane job of casting an entire class of children from not a class of children. They're all adults. And you have the option to go younger and actually cast a kid, but then you have to surround them by people who are not kids, and they would all sound ridiculous. So there's the casting problem, which thankfully Laura made very easy for me by coming in and nailing the audition, and there was nobody else who could play Sana, so that was it. So yay, that's done. And then we had Mamas. Mama, for those of you who don't know, is a very Japanese, very culturally significant person from Japan. I mean, she is in kimono all the time, and all of her jokes are completely un-American. So I had to find somebody who could understand those jokes, and I went through 3 mamas. 3 mamas before I finally was like, okay, everybody get out of the booth, I'm doing it. And so that's how I ended up being Mama. It was not my intention to cast myself, and by the end, that was really the only option I had, because I had seen all 102 episodes in one weekend.
From my perspective, Ray sort of has more kind of mothering energy, it seems,
than Mama. He really does. Mama's this type that we don't have in American cartoons. I've never seen that character before. And it took me a while to get her. Like, even when I started, I stopped. You can see the first 10 episodes and see that. But she's so crazy that, well, she's crazy in a different way than everybody else in Kodacha is. Because Kodacha is all way up here, And Mama sometimes gets there, but it's in a completely different place, and everybody stops and looks at her when she does it. So, it was very frustrating but fun, and I started out hating her and loving the show, and then I ended up really, really, really loving her and loving